People used to take photographs to remember something. Now we take them so we can forget it. Pasadena, 2006. I don't remember the exact venue, but it was a huge open space. It reminded me of one of those large cavernous buildings at the county fair, filled with the winners for the largest pumpkin and best apple pie. Maybe the winner of the most intricate hand-stitched quilt. If you've been to a fair, you probably get the idea. Table after table of thin rectangle boxes filled with old photographs. Each box had a few inches of space left so you could flip through the photos easily. Behind each table sat a man or woman in some sort of folding chair. Many of them were reading and looked up only briefly every once in a while as you flipped through the photos. If you found a handful of photos you liked, they'd usually say something like, "You can have all 10 for $12. It was my first found photo fair, and I was a bit overwhelmed and inspired, mixed with a strange kind of sadness. Box after box of forgotten memories. It had a profound effect on me. Honestly, I never wanted to leave. Welcome to The Art of Clarity, a podcast about creativity, the nervous system, and the strange ways the modern world competes for our minds. For many years, I had a good friend, Babette. We drifted apart several years ago, except for the occasional Instagram like a handful of times a year. Babette loved found photos. A few years earlier, she had published a book called Photo Booth through Princeton Architectural Press, New York. Page after page of the most incredible photo booth photos. Smiling faces, couples in love, people dressed in their Sunday best, drunk sailors. Babette is the one who had invited me to the Found Photo Fair in Pasadena. Flipping through box after box of forgotten photographs was hypnotic. Birthdays, funerals, road trips, last goodbyes before Vietnam. Moments that meant everything to someone, now sitting in a cardboard box for $1 apiece, give or take a few cents. Being there amongst all those frozen moments made me think of something I still can't shake today, almost 20 years later. What happens to all our memories now that they live on an external hard drive or in our phone? For most of the last 100 years, photographs were physical objects. You held them in your hands. You put them in albums. You passed them down through families. They lived in shoe boxes, kitchen drawers, old trunks in the attic. Even when they were forgotten, they still existed. But today, our memories live somewhere else. Inside a cloud server. Inside a phone, inside a hard drive that might fail, or a device that will eventually become obsolete. When photographs were physical, we curated our memories. Now, we document everything and curate almost nothing. As technology continues to evolve, what happens to our memories? Will future generations lose touch with the concept of physical keepsakes? And how will that affect our sense of history and continuity? The ease of taking thousands of digital photos might dilute the emotional experience of each one. Dorothea Lange said, "The camera is an instrument that teaches people how to see without a camera." For most of the last 100 years, photographs were chosen, timed, and framed with thought. You had a limited number of exposures on a roll of film, 24, maybe 36. When you took a photograph, it meant something. You waited for the right moment, the right light, the right expression on someone's face. Today, that relationship has changed dramatically. Now, most of us carry a camera everywhere we go. Not just a camera, but one that can take thousands of images without ever running out of space. A single evening with friends might yield 50 pictures. A vacation might produce hundreds. It feels like a gift, but something shifts when abundance replaces limits. We're not choosing moments, we're documenting everything. Instead of remembering an experience, we often experience it through the act of recording it. The phones come out automatically, a reflex, a small interruption in the flow of being present. Over time, this constant documentation begins to clutter our attention. Our devices become archives of thousands of images that we rarely return to. Moments captured, but not necessarily absorbed. Clarity in this sense is not about having more memories stored somewhere. It's about being present enough for the moment to imprint itself naturally. Sometimes the clearest memory is the one we never photographed. Psychologists have studied something interesting in recent years. It's sometimes called the photo-taking impairment effect. There's something researchers started noticing in museums. People who take photographs often remember less than people who simply look. It sounds backwards. You'd think taking a photograph would help preserve the memory. But something else happens instead. When the brain knows that a moment is recorded, it relaxes. The mind says, I don't need to remember this. The camera will remember it for me. And so, attention drifts. The photograph becomes the archive. But the moment itself never fully settles into memory. Anyone who has come back from a vacation with thousands of photos might recognize this feeling. You have proof that you were there, but sometimes the memory itself feels strangely thin, as if the camera saw more of the experience than you did. Photographs have always carried emotional weight. A single image can hold an entire story, the way someone looked, the people beside them, the moment they were in. But something changes when photographing becomes effortless. In earlier generations, photographs were curated. You chose what was worth keeping, and the act of choosing created significance. Now we keep everything. Thousands of images stored on devices we rarely return to. Moments that once mattered now sit next to screenshots, receipts, and accidental photos. And something gets lost. The challenge isn't capturing more. It's deciding what's worth remembering. Because meaning comes from attention and from choosing what we hold on to. Technology has given us extraordinary tools for recording our lives, but it has also quietly changed the way we interact with memory itself. In previous generations, memories were often tied to physical objects, photo albums, handwritten letters, ticket stubs tucked inside drawers, These artifacts created opportunities for reflection. You might open a box and rediscover something years later. A photograph would fall out, and suddenly you were transported back to another time. Digital memories behave differently. They are stored efficiently, perfectly organized by algorithms, searchable and sortable in ways that physical photographs never were. But because they live inside devices, they are also easier to forget. Moments where we revisit the past intentionally, allowing memories to surface and reconnect with the present. In a digital age, this means creating new rituals. The goal isn't to stop taking photographs. It's to notice when you're no longer really there. Because the moment you stop paying attention, the camera starts living your life for you. This is Gary Naccarato, and this has been The Art of Clarity.